guess at no point could you kind of sit back and take a step back and enjoy it.
That was going to be a question. Did you ever feel, because you started your senior and junior year?
I started most of my sophomore year, some of my junior year, and then most of my all my senior.
So you never felt comfortable as a starter. You never said this is
not
my
till
spot.
Not till my senior year.
Okay, crazy, man. That's for me. That's the worst kind of pressure.
Oh, and well, my sophomore year, Jim Flanagan, who played with the Bears for a long time, he and I played the same spot. We were roommates, so here we are fighting for the same spot.
Oh,
and whoever played or practiced better the week before would start. But as soon as Jim missed a tackle, I would go in. As soon as I messed something up, he would go in.
That's the worst.
I mean, literally, if you screwed up, you'd look to the sidelines to see who was coming in to replace you.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
We're just continuing the conversation as we went to break there. We're back with Hawk TV. That's Pete Bercich. My name is Chris Hawkey. Thank you for tuning in. Fascinating stuff, dude. Honestly, I'm sorry to say I can't talk to you for 3 hours. I could talk to you literally about this for 3 hours. I can't imagine and I said it earlier, it's a childish way to say it, but for me, I go back to being a kid that age, and I would just think I'd have belly aches all the time about never feeling comfortable. But again, we'll talk more about that. Just thumbs up, thumbs down, yes, no. Was your career at Notre Dame a disappointment because you never won a national championship?
Yes.
Yeah. Who were your
Absolutely.
quarterbacks, by the way?
Rick Meyer for the first 3 years,
right.
And then Kevin McDougal my senior year.
Right. I really thought Rick Meyer was going to be a good pro quarterback.
Yeah,
we really did.
We all did. Ron Paulus was the freshman that we had signed my senior year. Well, signed. Well, yeah, he came in and they expected him to be the next Rick Meyer, and
right.
He, again, Lou Holtz had him in practice. He messed something up. Lou demotes him to the third team. He drops back against the number one defense, and Jim Flanagan and Bryant Young land on him and break his collarbone.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what I mean? So,
Bryant Young.
He
must have been a monster in college.
He was a beast.
Oh, he must have been.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you played through Notre Dame. You go to the combines and such like that. When did you get drafted? What round? And did you know it was going to be the Vikings? How did that?
I was drafted in the 7th round, 211th overall.
Okay.
I've said this, the only person that's happy on draft day is the guy who was picked first, because everybody else thinks that they should go higher.
Sure.
It's hard when you sit there and you see guys that you played against or that get drafted ahead of you, and it drives you nuts. But it wasn't until I got into coaching that I realized kind of how the draft goes and why people get drafted in certain spots. And a lot of it has to do with just your pure numbers, pure physical ability. And I was drafted right where I should have been. I mean, 7th round, it's with my numbers and who I was and what kind of a player I was coming out, I was picked right where I should have been.
Did you think you had a career in front of you in the NFL? Or
I had no idea.
But
I do remember this, Hawk. I do remember this. My first mini camp, I show up. Jack Del Rio, Henry Thomas, John Randall, Roy Barker, James Harris, and remember Ed McDaniel and all those. And I remember sitting in that meeting room. It was after the first day of practice, and you're sore the next day, minicamp, believe it or not. And I remember looking over and John Randall sits against the wall, and I remember looking over at him, and he's sitting there, and I can't even do it, but he's just bouncing. And this is a meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning, and just sweat, and he can't even sit still. And I'm thinking, I'm sitting here, and I'm thinking, I do not belong here. And I remember that morning when I got up and I took a shower, and I thought, if they cut me today, I would be fine. Because I didn't know, I just didn't know if it was for me. I came out of college, and I really hated football.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy it. I didn't enjoy any. I mean, you weren't allowed. You really didn't have a chance to enjoy it at Notre Dame because of all the other things that you had to deal with. You just couldn't sit back and play football. It was that there was just so much pressure.
Yeah.
You're just worried about the carpet getting yanked out from under your feet, and then you were the guy that went to Notre Dame and never made it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you had that hanging over your head. When I got here, in those first few days, and I just remember looking around thinking, I don't know, I don't know if I belong here.
So getting drafted would have been good enough. That would have been, I did it.
I was going to give it, I was going to give it the best I could. My dad did it. I figured, I'm going to hang in here and just do the best I can. But I will never forget that meeting, sitting there and looking at Johnny and those guys and thinking, these people are out of their minds.
Wow.
This is completely off the hook. This is so alien to what I knew in college and how things went there. And now I'm here where let's face it, the inmates run the asylum a little bit in the NFL. The players have some say in things. And I didn't question my ability to play or compete or at least make the team or be part of the team. I just didn't know if this is – I mean, I was completely, totally taken aback. I'm thinking, this is the NFL? These nut, these people
Did you
are
have
nuts.
to force a screw loose within yourself in order to become an NFL player? Do you know what I mean by that?
You did.
Yeah.
And that came down the road. Now, I'll say this. Coach Green was one of the best things that ever happened to me in the fact that by the time I had a year or two under my belt, I enjoyed football. College, you worried about being the failure, being the guy that left Joliet and went over there. In the NFL, there are hundreds of thousands of – I mean, your job is on the line, and there are people fighting for – every year, guys would come in and they want your job.
Of course.
And there's money on the line, and a lot of money on the line. Not as much as today, but still, at the time, it was a lot. So in that respect, it was every bit as competitive, if not more. I mean, physically, it was exponentially tougher, harder. Camp, I mean, everything was harder. Everything was – it was physically, it was much more demanding. But what I was fortunate to have, and I think this came from the Notre Dame thing, is the discipline. Because I was set in my ways as far as being on time, studying. I mean, that's just what I did.
Coach's dream.
Right. And when you get in the NFL, you get a little bit more leeway. They don't babysit you, so to speak. It's your job to look at your book. It's your job to show up on time. The coaches they don't have a 4-year investment in you or a 5-year investment. If you make the team or not, they don't care. Their job is to get the starters ready. I remember my first year of Monty Kiffin as my linebacker coach. I wasn't allowed to talk. If I asked a question, they looked at me and said, "What are you doing? You got questions, you ask them later." I wasn't allowed to talk. Greg Minuski, Jack Del Rio, Ed McDaniel, Carlos Jenkins, those guys talk, not me. And so I had to sit there and just watch and learn.
How many years did you play in the NFL?
7.
Did you overachieve?
No, I don't think there's such a thing.
Really?
No. I mean, I don't think there's such a thing that when you say overachieve, just because I knew what kept me around in the league, my ability to play and back up 3 positions into a game, back up on nickel, and play special teams. I did what very few people could do in that respect. And it's not as if I had an unbelievable career or that people even know who I am. But I look back and think that when Randall McDaniel went into the Hall, I got invited. When John Randall went into the Hall, I got invited.
Wow.
If you talk to any of those guys, Jerry Ball or Eddie or whomever, they all respected me for what I could do. And maybe what I could do wasn't necessarily physical, or I couldn't get out in the game and dominate, but I could play 3 different linebacker spots, 2 different spots on nickel. And at the drop of a hat, when someone gets hurt, I could go in, finish out a game. I'm not going to light up the scoreboard, no, but I'm not going to mess things up. I'm going to do my job and be where I need to be.
Right. What was your greatest moment as a professional football player?
Wow.
Because I'm going to guess I know what the worst is.
It's hard. It's okay. I still think 98. And it was just a huge thing. But in '96, I got my first start against the Detroit Lions, and Barry Sanders was the running back, and I tackled him early on in the game. And really, that was one of the one times in my life where I got up and I turned my brain off and said, "Oh my God, I just tackled Barry Sanders."
Wow.
I mean, granted, it was in a phone booth. He was coming in a narrow gap, and I met him. But I brought him down.
Yeah, right.
And it was just cool.
That's great.
I mean, it was just that was to me that was big, because I mean, you're with the best. These are the Hall of Fame. These are the best guys out there in the world, and you're out there competing with them on the same field with them. It was great.
A couple more things, and we got a break. And I wish we had more time. We're not even going to talk about your coaching, but and we have to end the show. But again, Pete, thank you for your time. 98 NFC Championship game, the worst moment of your NFL career?
It took a long time to get over it.
I bet.
Physically, Eddie, we had a couple injuries early. I ended up playing special teams and then defense for most of the game. Mentally, I don't know. It's I don't think you realize it until years down the road, where I showed up to camp every year and took the fact that we were going to go to the playoffs for granted.
Sure, right.
We're going to the playoffs this year, right? 98, 15-1. I'm not saying we took going to the Super Bowl for granted, but you just took for granted that you're going to be that competitive,
right,
and that it was going to come back. So after you had a little time to rehab and let it sink in, going into 99, you're like, we're gonna do it again.
Sure, right.
This is us. We're going to do it again.
Right.
And you don't realize until way down the road that these opportunities come by maybe once in a lifetime.
We have to wrap it up. Somebody else wants to use the studio. So one more final question. You said when you left Notre Dame, you hated football. You were sick of football. As we sit here today, do you love football?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. It's the great. To me, it's in so many ways, it's the greatest sport on earth.
Yeah.
I really think that in this day and age, you have to still go out and earn what you do every single day.
Yeah.
And Lombardi has that quote, and I'll quote it loosely, about laying on the field exhausted, victorious is the greatest feeling in the world, and it is. There's no question. There's no question in my mind, other than obviously the family things, but that competing and fighting and overcoming and doing all those things, and then being victorious, competing against the best in the world. In business, it's not that way.
Yeah.
The buzzer doesn't go off and you win or lose. In football, that's how it is, and you can't buy a win. You can't give your kid better gear. You can't get them more ice time. I mean, it doesn't matter. When you step on that field, and this goes back to me in high school with the chip on my shoulder, is that everybody's equal. And when we step on a field, it's you and me. And you know what? I don't like you very much, and I really don't care if you go to Bennett Academy. I don't really care if you go to Richards. I don't care if you go to Lincoln. I don't care what your past. I don't care about anything. I don't care if you're, first team, preseason, whatever. This is it. We're on the field now, and this is our chance, and let's go.
God, I want to play football. That's awesome, man.
But that you don't get in life.
Nope.
That's why guys have such a hard time, I think, when they leave, because you have friendships that you develop that are like no other that you're going to see the rest of your life, because you push so hard. I know if we're teammates, I know if you work hard. I know if this guy's lazy. I know if that guy – I don't care what you do off the field or what religion you are or any of that. I know who you are and what you're about. But when you leave and you go to some cube somewhere and you're working, I don't know what this guy does. He seems like a nice – those kinds of relationships, I've said it's the least racial place you'll ever be, because you don't care what color, creed. I don't care. We're here to win. My life's in your hands. I mean, not like in the military, but you know what I'm saying? I'm dependent on you. You're dependent on me. This is a team. I can count on this guy.
Yeah.
And when a teammate looks at you and you have that sense, that ability, or that togetherness, so to speak, can't be beat.
Wow. We got to wrap it up. Pete, you've been great. Thank you, man. I appreciate it very much. We'll get you back in and talk about your other jobs.
Let's do it.
As soon as we can. It's Hawk TV. This has been episode 3. Thank you so much for tuning in. Check us out on Facebook. We'll see you again next week.